All right, guys, how are we doing? Good to see you all here for another live hangout. Good to see everybody here. Sam Heaney, Alex, everybody else. Of course, I have with me Filippo, who is coming in from a hotel. Is there a bit of an echo? Can anybody hear an echo, guys? I don't know if we can hear it.
No
Sounds
echo
like there
for
might
me,
be a little bit of echo. No echo on
I
your
couldn't
end?
hear.
All right, well, we'll see if there's any echo on my end, but we're going to talk about a lot
I'll
of
be able to
stuff. We're
put
going
the
to talk about Jesse Marsch. What?
If there's an echo, I'll put the headphones on.
Okay, cool. You guys let me know if you can hear the echo because it seems okay now. People are saying they can hear it. Try putting the earphones on, and then we can
let me get
into
off
it.
and put him on so you can get it going. Give me 1 second.
All right. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Jesse Marsch. How you guys doing? We're going to talk about Gio Reyna. We're going to talk about the Cade Cowell and Caden Clark. American Soccer United, Mike Garrison, Caleb, Brandon, Jorge. How are you guys? Good to see you all here. I love doing these hangouts because it feels like it's, in real time and you get to ask questions. Travis, Kevin, Turd, Young Pulisic. Good to have you guys here. How's everybody's Sundays going? Mine is a little stressful today, but I still wanted to do this. Stoffer, how are you guys? Anybody watching soccer on the weekend, man? There's so much to watch. You can't possibly watch all of our guys. Jonathan, Ken, Ben, Lance, Smack. How's everybody doing? You guys look like we're going to be busy today. That thumbnail, though. Which thumbnail? All right, say something, Filippo. Let's see if the echo's gone.
All right, can everyone hear me? Everything good now?
Yeah, you're a little
Should be
laggy,
good.
at least from my point of view. But do what you can.
Sorry,
Okay.
it's probably the internet here, but I'll stay for just 10 minutes.
No worries, no worries. Kevin Paulette with a very good point. The only soccer community I have. I'm with you, man. I think a lot of us feel that way. These hangouts are a way to talk about soccer. And, a lot of us come from families where maybe our family isn't as into soccer, especially us white Americans. I think for Filippo, your dad's into soccer. But for a lot of us, our dad doesn't always have, or our dad, brothers, sisters. I've got a lot of siblings. I have 12 siblings. None of them are into soccer. So, yeah. You're right, Kevin. It's good to be a part of this community, guys. Let's talk real quickly about Jesse Marsch. I know that you, Filippo, did a whole video on his move to Leipzig. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he's successful, and I think he will be. But with anything, you have to try and look at it from two angles. I have a few concerns about his ability to be flexible tactically. And if you look at what he did in Austria, winning the league, winning the cups, all of that was great. But everybody else did that. All the other previous coaches did that with Salzburg. So it wasn't exceptional. It was good, but I wouldn't say it was exceptional. Where you want to judge him is how does he perform in Champions League, in Europa League. And his performances have not been good, Now people say, okay, well, he's been against tough teams. Yes, but he's never managed to beat any of those tough teams. Now, usually good coaches find a way to win at least every now and then against a team they're not supposed to beat, right? So that's sort of what you expect, and we haven't seen that from him yet. My concern with him, too, is that he plays one way. He plays the Red Bull way, and that's probably why they love him. This is his third Red Bull club. But at the end of the day, if you want to win, you have to be a little more tactically flexible. Let me give you an example. What was it? Against Bayern Munich. 2-2 at halftime. If I'm Jesse Marsch, I'm telling my guys, all right, can we defend for a draw here, right? To pull back, defend, or maybe don't commit as many guys forward when we're attacking just to provide some defensive balance. He didn't do that, and they got blown out 8-2. And that's happened quite a few times where he plays one way and they play the entire way. There's not a whole lot of variation to it. What are your thoughts, Filippo? What do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna go there. That's something I mentioned in the video as well. We saw the two examples with Bayern. So that game was 6-2 actually. It was an 8, it was 6.
Yeah, 6-2,
And
I'm sorry, yeah.
the other game was 3-1, but they were man up. So and I know many are gonna say, it's Bayern, so it's okay to lose to Bayern. But you would expect from him to be able to hold a less elastic score at that point. 6-2 is not acceptable. for when you're with the U.S. men's national team per se, you're going to face teams that are far superior, like France,
Yeah.
Brazil. I don't want to lose 6-2. We should be able to pull
Yeah.
a draw. So I do have questions with Jesse Marsch. We talked to Brendan, remember, about it, and he did say Marsch does try different tactics in practice, but it seems like when the game comes, he can only go to a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-2-2-2. So is he able to properly execute these other tactics? Against Bayern that you mentioned, he tried different formations. It didn't go well. So,
but it's not just formations. It's also the way that you play in the different phases of the game, right? You know, when you win possession, they want to be very vertical. They want to hit them straight, and they're going to go quickly. And to that end, they push a lot of guys into attacking positions, but then you leave yourself very vulnerable if you give up the ball, especially against a quality team.
Do you remember what he tried against Bayern? He was trying to press the Bayern team, to pull the ball middle. It didn't work. It was a disaster. The pressure was to get to the ball in the middle so you can steal it quickly, move forward, and it didn't work. It was a disaster. It was 2 games, actually.
Yeah. And it's not just Bayern. This happened against Napoli, against Liverpool, against Atletico. He never beat any of them. He came close a few times, but he never beat them. And then in the Europa League, he gets knocked out from Villarreal in the first round. So we have question marks, but we're rooting for the guy, and I think he will be successful. If he can win the German league, the Bundesliga, to unseat Bayern, he'll be a hero, and he'll have a pick of, the pick of his jobs. I don't know if he will.
How do you think he'll do? How do you think he will do with more resources now?
Do you think he'll have more resources than Nagelsmann had?
No, he'll have more resources than he had.
Sure, but he'll also be up against tougher competition, right? So tough. We'll see. I think he will do as well as Nagelsmann. I don't expect him to win the Bundesliga, though. I just don't think he's going to do that. I think this is still a good learning experience for Marsch to go to the Bundesliga now, to compete in Champions League on more of an equal footing. So now if you're with Leipzig, you better win some of those Champions League matchups. You're not with Salzburg anymore.
You know what I want to see? Oh, go ahead.
We got a quick question here from Caleb Adams. Pellegrino Matarazzo, if anything, is better prepared for a top Bundesliga coaching job than Marsch. Made a thread about him today because he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. I mean, yeah, he's done now 1 year in the Bundesliga with Stuttgart after getting them promoted. And where are they in the table now? I think they're in the top half of the table.
They're 10th.
That's excellent for a newly promoted team. So good on Matarazzo, Definitely another guy to watch. And I think Caleb is right. He doesn't get the recognition he deserves because he spent so much of his life in Europe that he's not as well known by a lot of American fans.
Well, he was speculated in Leipzig and Eintracht Frankfurt, so they are recognizing him out there. It's just the American people that are not talking too much about him.
Yeah.
But he's getting recognition outside.
Gotcha. So he also is a guy who I think if he has another good season, he could very easily get another coaching job, maybe for a bigger team. So, yeah. So that's really all I have to say on Jesse Marsch. I'm rooting for the guy. I hope he does well. I still think he's one of the better American coaches out there. Certainly better than Berhalter, in my opinion. But I'm curious to see if he can be more tactically flexible now that he plays with Leipzig. Thank you, Caleb. We appreciate it. Let's move on to Gio Reyna. And I sparked some discussion yesterday when I put the following on Twitter. I said the USMNT guys that thrashed Trinidad and Tobago 7-0 in Jan lacked ability. Crazy, right? I said Caden Clark should go to the Olympic qualifiers when that roster was released. Crazy, right? I'm now saying that Reyna is the best attacking mid we have and shouldn't be shunted wide. Tell me I'm crazy. So it wasn't just me who said those things, Filippo. You said those as well. We both said these things, which at the time didn't seem like the best take. Some people were like, yeah, I don't know if you guys have it right. We turned out to be right on both of those accounts. So what are your thoughts on Gio Reyna's best position? And to be clear, guys, I'm not saying that Gio Reyna can't play wide. Good players are adaptable and they can play multiple positions. I think his best position is one of those dual eights in the Berhalter system. Filippo, what are your thoughts?
I'm for that. I want Reyna to play central. I want him to play central. He obviously can play wide, and you pretty much said it. You nailed it when you say good players will play wide. They'll work. You can put them anywhere. It will work at the end of the day. The only concern I have with Reyna playing more as an 8, if he plays more advanced, as a 10 or maybe as a more advanced 8, which we've seen Berhalter do as well. My only concern is I don't think his work rate is up there yet. That's the only thing that concerns me.
See, yes, to a degree, you're right. But actually, if you look at his defensive statistics this year, they're pretty good for an attacking midfielder. He just has a languid pace about him. So sometimes the eye test.
He looks lazy, right?
He looks lazy because of the way he moves and runs. But if you look at his defensive statistics, he actually does a lot of defensive work. And he's very good in 1v1 duels. Like when the opponent has the ball, he's very good at bodying them off of it and winning possession. He loves this thing where he has long legs. So he'll basically step in front of the opponent and scoop the ball away with his leg while his body moves the other player. Like it's a very interesting way he does it. I think he can still improve defensively, though. I think
my question is Gio Reyna is 18. How many 18-year-olds in the world, not American, in the world, can play at his level? There's not that many.
Well, what does he have in the Bundesliga? For Dortmund, he's got 7 goals now and 9 assists for his first full professional season playing for a Champions League club.
He's in the same level as Wirtz from Leverkusen.
Yeah,
that's overly hyped. Very good. He's in the same level as that guy, same age. The other guys, Ansu Fati as well. Ansu Fati is more of a winger, but then
but in other words, if we're talking about levels where he's playing, you know what I mean? Did we lose Filippo there? Seems to be lagging a bit.
Am I back?
Yeah, starting to have you back.
Okay. I was going to say Reyna, at his level and his position, he's probably top 3 of the world.
Yeah, I agree. For his age, you mean?
Yeah, for his age.
Yeah, no, there's not very many under 18, 18-year-olds doing what he's doing, which brings us to the next point on why, if you're going to play Gio Reyna as one of the dual 8s, Michael Garrison, Gio at central attacking midfield, Weah or Morris wide, Musa can sit. And the other 18-year-old in the lineup, who a lot of people think should be an automatic starter, is Yunus Musa. So when people ask me, well, then what do you do with that trio of midfielders? I would bench Musa. I think that McKennie and Gio should play as the dual 8s together with Adams behind them. And the reason I think that is several things. Number one, Musa, Adams, and McKennie are all very similar players. You're talking about very good athletes and, very good box-to-box midfielders, but maybe not the most incisive players, not the most creative. Now, McKennie can score goals. He's good at arriving late to score goals, and both McKennie and Musa are very good with dribbling the ball through the middle. But when you're talking about unlocking a defense, passing, they're not like Gio Reyna. So I think that you sit one of them and you bring Gio Reyna, who is a little more of a lock picker. His through balls, his ability to pass in tight spaces is something that I think would be really helpful in the midfield. And second, people love Musa a lot because he's a dual national, and rightfully so, right? He was playing for England's youth teams. We got him. We invested a lot of emotional energy into him, right? And so we're excited to have him. That doesn't mean he's ready to start for us full-time, automatic starter. What are your thoughts, Filippo?
Well, I've been saying that for a while as well. I don't think Yunus Musa is a lock-in starter. He's a lock-in 23-man roster right now. He's not a lock-in starter, especially because if you look at our central midfield right now, that's probably the strongest part of our national team right now, the starting 11. We have no questions on the starters there. McKennie and Adams are lock-in starters. If you go central, Reyna has to start. And then you get other options that have played very well, like De La Torre was a surprise. Brendan Eriksson can play there. Yunus Musa is going to have to fight for his spot, and he's not a lock-in starter right now. Probably full strength. If Berhalter stops the madness of playing Reyna wide, you'd have to bench Musa. You don't have another option.
Yeah, and here's the thing. His form for Valencia this season has not warranted him to be an automatic starter for the U.S. If it was any other player, he didn't play today, right? He's not playing. He's not really playing at Valencia. He'll get 20 minutes here and there. I mean, Gio Reyna has 7 goals and 9 assists this year. Musa has 0 or 1 goal and 0 assists. So he's not playing. He's not quite there yet. And if you even go watch the Northern Ireland game, guys, somebody responded to me, Musa should start because he's a baller, which for me is not very specific analysis. I'd like to hear a little more. Go watch the Northern Ireland game and watch how many times he gave the ball away. People are saying he's very ball secure. I'm not so sure about that. And I like Musa, guys.
Remember,
I don't want to, beat him down.
and I made a video about that too. People don't notice his lazy defending at times. They forget about Kellen Acosta made a silly foul versus Northern Ireland because Yunus Musa was caught sleeping at the play.
Yeah.
And we blamed Acosta. I mean, there's a lot to blame Acosta. Let's not even get into Acosta, but
Acosta had
but
a
it was
terrible
Yunus
game
Musa.
against Northern Ireland also.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So, we like Musa and we think he's going to be, he's 18 years old. Give him time to develop, but he's not at Gio Reyna's level right now. So I don't see why you shunt Gio Reyna wide in order to accommodate Musa. So, with the depth in the talent pool, it's okay. Not everyone's going to start. Not all the good players are going to start. This is what it means to be a soccer power. You have big, players who are really good sitting on the bench. You don't have to try and fit them all into the starting 11, So which
you
brings
can only
us to the
start
next
11
point.
players.
You can only start 11, and there's going to be good players sitting on the bench, which is good. That means you're in a good place as a country. When you have Champions League players, not that Musa's a Champions League player, but if you have Champions League players sitting on the bench, that means you're in a good place. Okay. So who takes over that place on the right? For me, if you're going to put Gio in the middle, you want Weah or maybe Aronson on the right wing. I think either of them can play there. So that's what I would like to see. Okay. Jordan, I see thank you, Mike, very much. Jordan, I see your chat, and we're going to talk about Caden Clark in just a second, so I'll bring that up. But I just want to finish this point.
Pete, one question. You don't want to talk about your One Football as well? I don't know if I'm reminding you.
Yes, we have a sponsor, and I'm going to bring the sponsor up here. A quick video from the first sponsor who's sponsoring both of our channels now for the month of May. So let me just put this up for you guys. If I can ever find it. Here we go. Say that 11 Yanks has a new sponsor. One Football is an app that allows you to get all of your news, transfers, stats, and in-match updates from over 160 leagues in over 60 countries. I've been using this app for the last few weeks, and here's what I love about it. I can select the teams that I love, in this case the Usmt, and with one click, I'll have access to all the news about the teams, statistics from past games, lineups, information about future games, as well as who is part of the roster. I can also do the same thing for specific players, select the ones that I want to follow, and I'll be able to track that player's data, performance, and stats throughout the season for both club and country. So check out the app, guys. One Football. Click the link in the description below to download the app directly and start getting all the information you need about the players and teams that you love. All right, so that's One Football, guys. Their link is in the description below. I put it there, so go click on it. You can download it on your laptop or your phone or your iPad or whatever. I really like especially the stats thing about it. So they're going to be sponsoring both me and Filippo for the month of May, and we are excited. Right, Filippo? Filippo seems
for
to
us,
be on a little bit
anything
of a
new is
lag.
exciting. It shows that we're getting. I don't know if you can hear me. Anything that's recognition, right? That's recognition, and it makes both of us proud that a company like One Football is recognizing that.
Yes, for sure. Real quick, Filippo, before you have to run, I know you have to go. Who would you put on the right wing if we put Gio in the middle?
Right now, I would go with Weah.
Yeah, I would go with either Weah or Aronson. I think either of them could play that very, very well. So
you can even before I go, you can even not my favorite, but you can even put Pulisic on the right and then put Brandon on the left. He did play a little bit better on the left, but I would go with Weah for now at least.
For sure. Cool,
Pete,
Filippo.
I'm gonna head out. I gotta go to dinner. Thank you, everyone. Thank you also, One Football. There, guys, the link for Pete right there is free. Pete forgot to say that.
Yeah,
Pete,
it's a free app. You don't have to pay anything for it.
Pete. Oh, by the way, many of them know Pedro Parker wants to go to your channel before I go. I'm out.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, Filippo. All right. Awesome having Filippo here. I think he's got dinner with the girlfriend tonight. This is from Jordan Demos. What's up with Caden Clark only scoring bangers? So excited to see him at Leipzig and excited for his future. Yeah, another fantastic goal from him this last weekend. Caden Clark, I'm glad he's going to Leipzig because the way that Red Bulls play, I don't think actually suits his game that much, if I'm being really honest. Caden is a guy who Yeah, he scores great goals, but we're going to need to see more from him in a playmaking role. So I want to see. The problem, though, is that the Red Bulls, they're so direct. They'd rather hit the ball up to Tom Barlow or Brian White instead of play through their midfield. It's the same reason why Frankie Amaya didn't get that many touches on the ball. And when you see Caden Clark get it, he quickly has to push it forward, right? It's control and then send it a pass, but that pass has to be forward, when sometimes the better decision is to maybe pass it sideways or, find possession of the ball and get an attacking shape going. That doesn't really suit the Red Bull way, though. And so you see the Red Bull guys all being like, go, 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 attack, attack, attack. I just think sometimes it might be better for him to slow it down and for the team to slow it down. And so it's hard for me to see Caden Clark's full abilities not being taken advantage of in that system. Especially, like, it's one thing if you have Robert Lewandowski up there, but if your guy up there is Tom Barlow, so you're going to ignore the midfield and try to hit it long, I think that the Red Bull are going to struggle this season. That's my honest opinion. And I just hope that maybe they can find a way to get more guys in the midfield on the ball and play make and create more. So we will see. We'll see what happens with Caden Clark. But the guy is a baller. I'm excited. He's going to Leipzig. I'm excited that he's going to have a great season. He's probably going to be top scorer for Red Bulls this season with these bangers that he keeps scoring. We should have seen him in Guadalajara. I keep hammering that point, but it's true. I think we should have seen Caden Clark. I think he would have helped us a lot to qualify for the Olympics. Okay? Just my opinion. All right. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Appreciate it a lot. Appreciate all of you guys. This is really fun. I love hanging out here. Okay, so Stoffer Sarah, 11 Yanks Pete and 1 Football Pete are 2 different people. Yeah, let's also talk about Cade Cowell. Now, Cade Cowell is another 17-year-old, had another 1 goal, 1 assist performance, I think, or 1 goal, 2 assist performance against DC United. I did not watch that game. I did see the highlights. Look, I think that Cade Cowell still has some work to do but he's 17 years old and he's got all the gifts, physically, right? He is explosive, he's fast, he's strong, and he's, improving his finishing. He reminds me of Jordan Morris, except he's way, way younger than Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris improved his technique over the course of time, still not at a high level yet, but he definitely saw improvement. Now, Jordan Morris, people say he should have gone to Germany when he was 21 leaving Stanford. I don't think that was his worst move. I don't think that hurt his development. I think what really hurt his development was he spent 3 years in the college game, in those crucial 18 to 21 years. That's what really hurt him, in my opinion. Whereas Cade Cowell is going to be has been in a professional environment since he was 15. And so I think he's going to be able to improve more and more as, the next 3-4. By the time he's 21, 22, he could be great. He just has to make it a focus. Because you saw, like, in the first goal against DC, his first touch was a terrible touch, actually. But he made up for it with his speed and explosiveness to get to the ball before his opponent did. And then that allowed him to set up the goal. But that touch was not great. But overall, MLS is kind to athletic, explosive players, right? Because the defending is so terrible. Can he continue to work on his technique? And if he does, sky's the limit for a guy like Cade Cowell. So these are the guys to watch. 5 guys that I think you really want to watch this year in MLS who have very high ceilings. Cade Cowell, Caden Clark, David Ochoa, Gianluca Busio, and Paxton Pomykal. Yes, there are other guys too to watch, but for me, those 5 guys are the ones I'm really focusing on because I think they have high ceilings. Okay? Now, Buto, while we're talking about Caden Clark, you think Cade Cowell will definitely choose the U.S., or is there a slim chance for him to go to Mexico? There's always a chance he could go to Mexico. Well, it depends if we call him up, right? Right now, we don't have any youth camps going on. So does he get the call? I don't know. If we don't call him up and then Mexico says, hey, come to the Olympics with us. Remember, we're not going to the Olympics. Then, okay, maybe he's got to make that switch. And who knows? Now, he did say that the U.S. has been very kind to him, and he hasn't heard much from Mexico, but we can't get complacent. Mexico is doing a lot of things very well right now that we are not. okay? Specifically when it comes to youth camps. They're calling up American players from all over the U.S. and bringing them into Mexican youth camps, dual nationals. And U.S. soccer is just twiddling their thumbs. Anthony Hudson doing nothing. And I don't want to hear about how we can't because of COVID. Yes, we can. There are ways to do it. You test them all, okay? You test all these players before they come into camp, and you'll be just fine. Just like you tested, adults before we started MLS last year. So, MLS players getting tested all the time. So, yeah, you can test them and bring them in. It's not that big of an issue. And these guys are going anyway. They're going to a Mexican camp from Columbus and from Philadelphia and from Texas. So why not keep them in the U.S., and make them a part of our program from a young age so that Mexico doesn't have a chance to start building rapport and interest and getting them excited, Alex Better, you're sleeping on James Sands, another good player. I don't think James Sands is elite, but a good player. Going to be watching him too when I can this season. All right. Let's see. Other questions. Okay, real quick. Tactical Filippo reminded me of this. On Wednesday, Filippo and I are doing a live stream of the Chelsea-Real Madrid semifinal. So the second leg, it's 1-1, but we're going to do something a little different. Filippo is going to do the first half on his channel, and then we're going to come to 11 Yanks for the second half. Okay? That's what we're going to do. It's going to be fun. So we're not going to have a video on Wednesday. We're just going to do that live stream instead. And it's going to be a ton of fun. I hope you guys are there. If you're not working, come hang out. It's a big deal, to have an American scoring a first ever American to score in a Champions League semifinal. Are they going to get through? We will see. It would be great to have an American win the Champions League. I think only one American has ever won the Champions League, and that was like a long time ago, and it was still called the European Cup. So, all right. What have we got? I did see Yule's volley from outside the box yesterday. It was very close to the goalkeeper, and he was just blindsided, so he didn't see it. Keeper maybe should have saved it. So, all right. Yeah, Kevin, the guy, the 90s with Dortmund, don't remember the guy's name. Yeah, that was a while back. Kirovsky, that's who it was. Thank you, Josh. Kirovsky won it in the 90s. So it's been a while since an American's won the Champions League. And no Americans ever scored in the semifinal. So can Pulisic put in another class performance against Madrid on Wednesday? We will see. But hope you guys can make it, if you're not working especially. So we'll see you guys there. All right. What else have we got? Do you think Brendan Aronson should have a place in the USMNT starting 11? Ariz, maybe. Maybe if you play him on the right, then I can see that happening. But I don't think he's really, not in the midfield for sure. I think maybe on the wing. That's where I'd start him if I'm going to start him. But I think he should fight with Weah for that right wing spot. And if we are going to play Musa, and you have Reyna on the right, then I just don't see a spot for Aronson, but maybe as Pulisic sub. Good player. I want him there. He's improved very, very rapidly since he's moved to Salzburg. So I hope so. But not just, and you know what, guys, it's okay to have good players on the bench. Remember, guys, we're going to have 3 games in 1 week for most of World Cup qualifying. You can't have the same starting lineup for those 3 games. You're going to need depth and you're going to need rotation. So it's good to have guys on the bench like Brendan Aronson, Luca De La Torre, Daryl Dike, Yunus Musa, right? Conrad De La Fuente. You have those guys on your bench, Tim Weah, you'll be able to rotate a lot easier. And that's exactly what you want. No, I don't think Aronson's going to surpass Pulisic anytime soon. 80s nostalgia guy. All right. Let's see. What do we got here? Thoughts on Justin Che? Yeah, I love Justin Che. He seems to be on a very quick rise, with Bayern's second team at 18 years old, 17, 18 years old. I hear he wants to represent Germany. So I don't know if that's just him saying that in order to get a quicker call up to the U.S. But I think there's a good chance if he's performing at a high level that Germany could call him up. I don't want to get too excited about a guy who says he would rather play for Germany than the U.S. You know what I mean? Because then you can really set yourself up for heartbreak. But I hope he chooses the U.S. because we don't have a lot of center backs coming through the young ages. Okay, we just don't. Not enough anyways. So I hope he chooses us, and maybe we can do the same thing we did with Musa, guys. Go spam his Instagram, go spam his Twitter with American flags, tell him how much we want him to play for us, show him love, right? That's all we can do is show him love. And then if he wants to choose Germany, well, that's up to him. It's weird to me, a kid who was born and raised in the U.S. wanting to represent Germany, but it happens. So USMNT boredom. How do you feel about Conrad De La Fuente joining Dortmund? I just want him to get out of Barcelona. You know, he's not going to play there. They clearly don't rate him, at least not this season. And to a degree, I understand why. I mean, the competition is very tough. I think for his development, though, he's getting too good now for Barca B. He's scoring goals and getting assists almost every week. So let him go play somewhere else. Maybe La Liga team. I can see him at Dortmund. If Sancho leaves, why not bring De La Fuente in? I think he'll get minutes for sure. I think he's good enough to play for Dortmund. So why not? You know, go spam his comments. Not De La Fuente. Justin Che. But De La Fuente, yeah, I want to see him get out of Barca. I think I put him in my World Cup roster for Qatar because I don't think we have a lot of elite wingers if you take Pulisic, Reyna, and Weah out. I think Conrad De La Fuente is a true wide 1v1 attacking winger. So he needs to get out of Barca B. All right. Zeke 0. There's been rumors of Pellegrino Matarazzo to Eintracht Frankfurt. What do you think of that? I like it. I like it a lot. Better team, more resources, you know, a chance to prove himself for a better club. I think they're going to be in Europa League next season. So, yeah, going to be fun. All right, Burnman. How often are you going to do the young domestic standout updates? Enjoyed it. Probably not too often, Burnman, just because it didn't seem to be very popular. A lot of videos, what I do is I'll make a video, and if the view count is good, if people are watching it, enjoying it, then I'll make more like that. If the view count is very low, to me, that's saying it's not really people's cup of tea. So I probably will do it every now and then, but probably not too often. Unless I think something's really important, then I'll bring it up and I'll do a video about it. I have a video coming out next Sunday. So not Wednesday, because Wednesday we're doing the Champions League live stream. But on Sunday, we're going to do I'm going to talk about why or how MLS can win CONCACAF Champions League without even raising the salary cap. And so that's going to be a whole video about what's holding us back, how we can win it, what we need to do going forward in order to be competitive in our own region. So, all right. Let's see. Michael Bradley's going to make a comeback. Get out of here. 80s nostalgia guy, Michael Bradley. No way. No way. No Bradley. No Josie. No thank you. Okay. Let's see. Who do you think, this is a good one, from Daniel Cimino. Who do you think is the most likely to secure a move this coming transfer window? Sargent, DK, Hoppy, Conrad, or someone else? Oh boy, that's a good question. Who do I think is the most likely to secure a move this coming transfer window? I would say probably DK, just because there's so much hype around him right now. And, you know, a lot of teams very interested in him, it seems. So I think that's most likely. But all four of those guys need to find a move, in my opinion. All right. Do you think Jesse Marsch will try and bring Americans to RB Leipzig? I don't know. I don't know what he's got planned. Could I see Brendan Aronson there? Maybe not this summer, but maybe if he has another good season, you know, at Salzburg, then yeah, maybe a year from now. Who knows? I mean, Caden Clark is already going to be there, and Tyler Adams is already there. So you're talking about 3 Americans already if you include Jesse. But let's see. Let's see. All right. Cruz Azul gave up a goal at the death against Tijuana. MLS will not win CONCACAF. All the MLS teams made it complicated for themselves. None of them won at home, and now they have to win it in Mexico. Yeah, it's going to be very hard for everybody. You know, I think it's basically the Crew and Portland who have draws at home. Very, very hard. to go to Mexico and win. But can one of them do it? I hope so. Toronto lost 3-1 at home. There's no chance they're making a comeback in Mexico. Who else? Then there's obviously Philly, who's, going to beat Atlanta very likely. And so then you're going to have Philly in the semifinals. I'm hoping we can get Philly in the semifinals, and then maybe one of either Crew or Portland can make a very rare and unlikely win in Mexico, but that's unlikely. But a lot of it is about spending, and it's not just the ceiling of our spending, but it's how we spend as a league and the restrictions on spending. And so I'm gonna do a whole video examining why it is the way it is and what we can do to change it. All right. We've beaten Netherlands for Dest, England for Musa, and currently beating Mexico for a lot of dual nats. I think we have a good chance of getting Justin Che. I agree. And Berhalter better get on this. This is a Berhalter, Brian McBride problem now, to try and convince Justin Che to play for us instead of Germany. And I hope they do. I hope we get him. Okay. All right. Zardes and DK as starters. Doesn't matter. Crew will destroy everyone. Are you a Crew fan, Ryan? Ryan Batesman? Crew really missed Aiden Morris. Yeah, Aiden Morris was really good for them before he got injured. So it's too bad, All right. Hit me up with more questions, guys. I got some time, so not a ton of time. By the way, later tonight, I have to go... I'm going to be on set. I have to play a cop for a music video and have some stunt work to do. It's a chase scene with some really fun stunt work. So I'm looking forward to it. After I leave here, I have to head to set. And it's going to be a lot of fun, jumping over fences and doing cool stuff like that. Ryan Vatesman, I'm actually not a Crew fan. Well, you're very confident about Crew's chances despite not being a Crew fan. I think it's going to be tough to win in Mexico. I do. Do you think Jordan Morris still has a chance to go to Europe? I'd say no. I just think he's going to need a whole year to come back. He's going to be 27 by the time he makes a comeback. In order to impress European scouts again, he's going to have to probably perform for at least a full year. Then he's going to be 28 years old. And at 28 years old, I can't see Europe paying for somebody his age, a European team. So I think it's unlikely. Okay. Landon Donovan, hell no. No, thank you. Someone said Landon Donovan should be the next manager for the Usmt. Yeah, we shouldn't be hiring one season MLS coaches to coach the national team. Okay. All right. Thoughts on Paul Tenorio rant on MLS wage rules? He's right. He's right. And by the way, guys, what Andy Garcia is talking about here is, hang on, guys. The dog needs to go out, so I'm just going to let him out real quick, and I will be right back. We're going to come talk about this super quickly, okay? Hang on. What's your problem? David, come here. Come here. Sit. Good boy. Sorry about that, guys. He was whining and whining and whining, so I had to let him out. Okay, where were we? Yeah, thoughts on Paul Tenorio rant on MLS wage rules. Yeah, look, he if you guys don't know, he does a podcast with Sam Stejko, and it's called Allocation Disorder. It's part of the Total Soccer Show podcast, like under the Athletic umbrella. And I think it's on anywhere you can find your podcast. But last week, they talk a lot about MLS rules and, salary cap rules and all the crazy mechanisms that run MLS. And last week, Paul Tenorio had a rant on how crazy it is that MLS refuses to raise spending. They refuse to allow the teams that want to spend to spend. And they articulate it so much better than I ever could. So if you guys want to know more about it, go listen to Allocation Disorder. It's a really great podcast. So give it a shot. I like it a lot. It's a form of accountability. It's good to see the Athletic, Sam Stejko and Paul Tenorio holding teams accountable. or trying to hold the league accountable, rather. Okay? So, thank you, Andy. Did I miss a chat here? Caleb, here we go. How you doing? What American MLS coach is best prepared to make the jump to European football? Right now, I would probably say Caleb Porter and Oscar Pareja, just because they've already done it with several teams. So Oscar Pareja has done Colorado, Dallas, he's worked in Mexico, and now Orlando, and he's proved he can be successful in more than one place. Same with Caleb Porter, one in Portland, one in Columbus. Now the next step is, can you go do it? I think that Jim Curtin and Greg Vanney are other good coaches, but maybe we need to see them in more than just one situation. So if Greg Vanney now is successful with the Galaxy, then you're like, okay, this guy's not just a one-club coach. There are coaches that can be successful at one club, and they go to another club, and it's not them. It was the environment or the players or the spending or whatever. So that's why, for me, before I say a coach is really good, I want to see them do the same level of success with more than one team. So that's what I would say. And I realize Oscar Pareja isn't actually American, but he's American enough. He's lived here for 25 years. He's a citizen. He's originally Colombian, but he's American now. Okay. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. Juve will have an active transfer window with how poor they have been. Does this raise any concern for you regarding McKennie's playing time next year? No. I mean, if you're playing at the elite level of football, teams are always going to want to strengthen. Personally, I don't think Juventus is going to strengthen that much. They don't have money, right? This whole European Super League was based off these teams having very little money. So I don't think they're going to bring in that many top players. But even if they do, you have to compete. If you want to play for a top team in the world, you have to compete against top players every day in training, week in and week out, earn your spot on the weekend, continue to earn it through your performances. Look at Pulisic. You score 10 goals and get 11 assists one year, new coach comes in, you have to prove yourself to him all over again. That's the way it is at the top level. And that's why you don't have that in MLS. You can have a terrible game in MLS, but if you're a DP, you get to play the next week again because there's nobody really challenging you. Whereas at the top levels in Europe, you're challenged week in and week out, and you have to stay. You can't even drop your level. You drop your level from 100% to 95%, you're on the bench. That's the way it works in Europe. So I'm not scared for McKennie. I think it's good for him. I want our players. Pulisic did it with Lampard. He did it again with Tuchel. You have to keep proving yourself every single week, and that is what elite football looks like. And McKennie's not going to be scared of that. He's going to rise to the occasion. You up that level, you force him to compete more, he's going to be just fine. Okay. Triple I. Thoughts? Okay. Super League. Thoughts on complaints of Super League equals Americanization despite major push by Barca, Real, and Juve. Yeah, but because it's an Americanized model, that's why, right? They're trying to take an American model and put it on European soccer. And so that's why they called it Americanization. To say nothing of the fact that 4 of the clubs are owned by Americans. But yeah, oftentimes when people are getting mad at America, because America's easy to hate, right? They ignore that the guys really pushing it are the Spanish and Italian clubs, who, by the way, have not backed out. All the English clubs with their American owners backed out, and these guys are still pushing it. Florentino Perez still thinks it's going to happen. So yeah, maybe we can stop blaming Americans at some point. But you know what? Then you have American commentators like Matt Doyle or Alexi Lalas are going out and being for the Super League. That doesn't help either, right? It doesn't help the perception of Americans and soccer. You're smart. What's your IQ? I've never had an IQ test, Ryan. I have no idea, honestly. Okay, here's a good question from Lance. Thank you, everybody, for all of your support. I am much appreciative of it. Lance Tanwi. Pete, who do you think is the versatile USMNT player? I think Pulisic, because he can play second striker, traditional right wing, left inside forward. Yeah, I think a lot of them are versatile, Lance. I think definitely Pulisic is. Gio Reyna is very versatile. I think McKennie is versatile. Dest is versatile. I think you have 4 or 5 guys that can be very versatile. So Yeah, I think all four or five of those guys for sure. All right. They hate us because we're the beautiful United States. There are lots of reasons for that people hate America. Imperialism is one of them. Sometimes our attitude, our arrogance makes people hate us, but a lot of it is unfair too. And a lot of it is, like anything else. People say, oh, Americans stereotype other countries. But then by doing that, you're stereotyping Americans. And a lot of it is they watch Tiger King on Netflix and they go, oh my God, Americans are nuts. Come here and you'll see most of us are just normal people like you. There's stereotypes and there's, bias and all kinds of stuff going on there. All we can do is just, try to ignore it. All right, let's see. Ryan, I think that George Bello deserves more chances with the USMNT. Yeah, I agree. I think, we still don't have a proper backup for Anthony Robinson. It's currently Dest. But I would like to see Bello get more chances for sure. I think the kid is highly, highly talented. Okay. Colin Steinbring. Speaking of Super League, Americanization, why not have the best of both worlds? Pro-Rel with MLS, MLS1 and MLS2. Could even cross-compete playoff style to add towards Pro-Rel. What you think? Yeah, I would like that. I just don't think they're going to do it. MLS is single entity for a reason and has been its entire career, its entire existence. I don't think the owners are just going to introduce any kind of Pro-Rel, because if you're playing an MLS2, then maybe you're not getting as much TV exposure because people aren't as interested in MLS2 as MLS1. So I don't think I would love it. I would love it, but I'm realistic enough to know it's not going to happen. And with soccer, there's so much. It's like you have to pick your battles sometimes, right? There's so many battles to fight. I choose my battles to be more along the lines of USSF and what they're doing with our national team, because to me, that's what's most important. But if you go try to fight every single battle, you're just going to end up negative and angry at the world. And, it's like a marriage or a relationship. You have to pick your battles. Otherwise, you're fighting over everything you disagree with, and you're just an angry, what's that gif of the guy from Old Man Yells at Cloud? That's what you end up becoming. All right, from Steve Cano. Where do you think Robinson should go since Fulham are going down? It's a good question. I don't know. Maybe West Ham. West Ham could be, someone who's interested in him. I think he should stay in the Premier League. But I don't know who. Honestly, I haven't done a lot of research into which Premier League team could use a left back of his caliber or has the money to afford him. But I do think he should stay in the Premier League and not go back down to the Championship. All right. Opinions aside. Okay. John Calt, here we go. Opinions aside, realistically, do you think Zardes will be called in for Nations League? Honestly, it's tough. It could go either way, right? Because on the one hand, we have Sargent and DK now tearing it up. And you also have the fact that he hasn't called up Zardes since 2019. So we haven't seen Zardes even in a camp. But we all know Greg's love affair with Zardes. If I had to put money on it, I would say he's not going to call him. I just think you have Weah, Sargent, and DK who can all play up top, and they're all better than Zardes. So I would say no. But I'd say it's about 60, not even. I'd say it's like 55-45 at this point. 55 no, 45 yes. I would not be remotely surprised if he did call him up and even started him. Okay. Jordan Sibachu is better than Jesse Zardes. Yeah, I agree. I don't think Leggett will start. I really don't, Ryan. He says, we know that Leggett will be starting. I disagree. I don't think Leggett's going to start. He's going to start, if everyone's healthy, he's going to start Musa, Adams, and McKennie in midfield with Reyna and Pulisic. But Leggett won't start. Okay. Experience is nothing without quality. Thank you, Fallen Phoenix. Experience is nothing without quality. Everybody's saying we need Zardes for his experience. Yeah, experience doesn't count. I mean, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Experience helps, right? Having experience, especially in CONCACAF, it helps, but only by so much, okay? If the gap between player A and player B is so large that experience only makes up a small difference, okay, then it doesn't matter how much experience you have. The talent gap is too large for experience to close any of that. Now, if the players are like this, okay, then experience brings that up a little bit, but the gap between them has to be small enough for experience to matter. That's how I see it. So if the gap in talent and quality and ability is large, experience is not going to make up for that, you know? So, all right. Burnman, Zardes has shown adequate quality in decent production with US and MLS. So, okay, I'm going to push back against that because when he's scored for the US very rarely, missed many opportunities for the US, doesn't have a first touch, only scores for the US against very small teams. Okay, if you really look at his record, yeah, or friendlies. I know he scored against Holland in 2015 in a friendly. That doesn't even count for me. That's too long ago. Zardes is very poor. He's a decent poacher in MLS and will look good against very bad CONCACAF teams. But when you're playing Mexico, like we saw in the friendly, Zardes started that friendly against Mexico in 2019 when we lost 3-0. Completely lost. Not even a factor in the game. Not even close to a factor. I don't think he should be there. Okay? Like his assist to Pulisic against Chile. Yeah, that was just an awful touch that he got lucky with. He gets lucky every now and then, but quality over luck, people. Quality over luck and quality over experience. All right. Do you think... Here we go. This is from the flock. Oh, no. Wrong one. Julian Green. There, that's the one. John Colt. Who is Julian Green behind in the depth chart, in your opinion? Okay. You mean, if we're talking about my opinion of where Greg Berhalter rates him, Berhalter doesn't seem to rate Green. For some reason, he hasn't called him up in such a long time. So I think he's behind a lot of these guys. You know, he's behind Leggett for sure, behind Aronson, behind De La Torre, behind probably Kellen Costa, definitely Musa, Adams. You know, so I just don't think he's really got a shot. Greg Berhalter doesn't seem to rate him for some reason. I'm not sure why, because I think he deserves a shot, at least in Gold Cup. We could bring him. Zardes, I think, will go to the Gold Cup. Atzer, yes. Zardes for Gold Cup. I think he'll bring Zardes to the Gold Cup, which I'm fine with. But I'd rather see Hoppy there, to be honest. I'd rather see Matthew Hoppy than Zardes, but I understand why you would bring a guy like Zardes to the Gold Cup. Okay. Who should be the USMNT captain for the World Cup? In my opinion, Tyler Adams should be our captain. I just think he is the perfect balance of like a baller, but also very calm and very in control. People like Weston McKennie, and I like him too, and I think he can be a fine captain. But Weston is more like the fun guy, the inspiration of the team, but he's not the guy that you want. He can be the captain, but I would prefer Tyler. I think that Tyler Adams just has a little more of a maturity to him and a little bit more of like, you know, thinking about everybody else on the team, thinking about the situation. He's always in control. He's always aware. He speaks, when he talks like a guy who's 30 years old, not like a 22-year-old kid. And so for me, Adams would be the best captain, but I think Weston could also do it. I wouldn't be a fan of making Pulisic the captain. I don't think he's the guy that you want captaining. I think you let Pulisic play. It's like Clint Dempsey. Clint Dempsey was never a good captain. He doesn't want to be captain. He just wants to play. Let him do his thing. Don't give him the responsibility for the whole team. Let him play. Let McKennie, let Adams handle it. Those guys. Maybe Brooks. I still have some question marks about Brooks. Okay. From Kenneth Levy. When will they call the players into camp for the May 30th game against Switzerland? Usually they do about 2 weeks or about 10 days before the first game. So my guess is we're going to hear something about the roster about May 15th to 17th somewhere. Obviously, as soon as that roster drops, I will do a whole video about it. So any thoughts or opinions on the Ochoa win celebration? Okay. I like David Ochoa, guys. I think he's a huge baller. I think he's a very talented keeper. And I know we like his swag, which is great. I still think if he's going to reach his ceiling, he has to learn to be in control and make sure he's not reacting, right? Now, the fans were taunting him the whole game in Minnesota, right? So at the end, he boots the ball into the stands. Did he react to the fans? Maybe. Did he do it in the game? Not so much. I just think as he grows, he's 20 years old. He needs to find the balance between having that competitive edge that gives him an edge as a player and having that swag and having that competitive, mentality and not losing control, because the minute you're not in control, now you're a liability. So he just has to find that balance. And I don't think he necessarily crossed it against Minnesota, but I do think it's a tough line to straddle, because there's a place where that becomes, now you're liable because you're reacting to fans, you're reacting to external stimuli, and opponents will try to wind you up. They'll be like, okay, Ochoa's temperament, can we wind him up? And then when they wind you up, now you do something stupid, and then you hurt the team. So I just think he has to be careful. But I liked it. Did you guys see that in the next game when RSL won, they now do a thing where he boots the ball into the stands if they win for his own fans at home, which is awesome. We need more traditions like that. That's what makes MLS fun, right? What makes your league fun is having things grow organically from live events on the field and then becoming a tradition, like Wonderwall in Minnesota. That's awesome. That's a great, they sing Wonderwall, the whole stadium after a win. It's awesome. Like, those are natural. It's not the league trying to force something. Those are natural interactions that then become traditions and part of the folklore of MLS, which is awesome. All right. Weston Long. Should we get rid of Greg if he doesn't win one of the tournaments this summer? So I did a whole video on this, guys. It's called, Berhalter Under Pressure. I think if he doesn't win, it will be a huge failure, but it's risky to fire your coach right before World Cup qualifying. So the question is, how did they win? How did they lose? Did they get to the final in both of them? Did they play well in the final? Were they a little bit unlucky? Does the team look tight, cohesive? Is he managing his tactics well? Are his roster selections mostly on point? If all of that is true and you lose, to Mexico in the final, that'll be 3 losses to Mexico. I'll still hate it, because at the end of the day, you have to win to be a good coach. And we're the U.S. This is CONCACAF. We should be winning in CONCACAF. But I don't think it will be enough for me to say, yeah, fire him if the team is playing really well and got a little bit unlucky. Okay. But if we don't win both of those tournaments and the team looks bereft of ideas, doesn't really look like we're clicking, then I would say yes. I would say yes, because you can't go into a World Cup with a group this talented that can't play well together. And that's on the coach. And no, I don't want Jose Mourinho, guys. No, thank you. Not a good coach. Not the kind of guy who's going to help us be an attacking, dynamic team that's going to take advantage of all our attacking talents. He's going to put a bunch of defending midfielders on the field like Jason Christ did in Guadalajara. And you know this. Watch Jose Mourinho's entire career. He hates creative attacking players. He wants to win every game 1-0 by just defending. The U.S. has been that for 20 years. We're not doing that again. No thanks to Jose. No way, Jose. All right. Let's see. Michael Garrison. Throwback time. Do you miss Klinsmann at all? I do. I actually don't. Because I don't think he was a good tactician. I think that Jurgen Klinsmann was a guy who was a good technical director in a sense, because he was trying to push the U.S. to be better. He was trying to call for more accountability. He was trying to get people out of their comfort zones, go to Europe. And he was saying and doing a lot of things that sort of upset the apple cart of the American soccer structures, which was good for the program. It was good for what we were trying to do. And it's a lot of the things that I have talked about. That being said, when it came time to coach a game, his rosters, his tactics, and his ability to set up a game plan were terrible, right? There's a reason that Klinsmann failed at Bayern Munich. There's a reason he failed at Hertha Berlin, and why ultimately he failed with the U.S. He's only successful if he has a really strong tactical assistant coach, which he had in Jogi Löw when he was coaching Germany. And that's why they were successful. And then Jogi Löw went on to win a World Cup with Germany, which tells you everything you need to know about Jogi Löw. Jurgen Klinsmann needs a strong tactical assistant coach, and then he will, I think, be okay, because he's more of an inspirationalist. But when he had the US, he didn't have that, when he was coaching us. And so he caused more problems than he did help the situation, especially towards the end, right? Because this rah-rah, step on their toes, make them uncomfortable, up your level, all that talk is good. But you know what? After a few years, it gets old. And you need X's and O's on the field. You need a coach who knows how to set up a game plan, how to adapt, how to plan in the game, So yeah, I don't miss Klinsmann. All right. Klinsmann and Filippo, easy World Cup win. Tactical manager. Colin Steinberg, a dual national goalkeeper here. Hello from Thailand. Colin, are you seriously telling me you're from Thailand? I grew up there. I was born and raised in Thailand. I speak Thai almost fluently. Now prove that you're a Thai by putting something in Thai in the chat. Let's get Jesse Marsch. Yeah, if we have to fire, here's the problem too, guys. If you're going to fire Greg Berhalter, who are you going to get to replace him, right? Because it's not going to be Jesse Marsch anymore. He just got the Leipzig job, so that's not going to happen. But then, oh wow, Colin, ผมเป็นคนไทย all right, เป็นคนไทยด้วยนะครับ เกิดที่กรุงเทพแล้วก็โตที่โน่นแล้วก็มาอยู่ที่อังกฤษแล้วก็อินเดียแล้วก็ค่อยๆมาแบบที่USA. So that's my tie. Where was I saying before? We were talking about, someone remind me. I'm sorry. Yes, Jesse Marsch. So it's not going to be Jesse Marsch. So then who do we replace him with? Right? Maybe Oscar Pareja? Okay, maybe. I think he can be a good coach. Personally, I think Oscar Pareja would do a good job, has enough experience, knows how to get the best out of players, right? And that's really what matters. So, yeah, probably Oscar Pareja until the end of 22. And then we do an all-out full-court press to get Jesse Marsch. After 2 years at Leipzig, come coach the USMNT, bro. At home. For the only, people say, oh, he's never going to come and coach the US when he has interest from Europe. Stop. Yes, he will. A, he's an American and he loves his country, okay? And he wants the US to be successful. And B, Europe is always going to be there. The chance to coach the US with this generation at home in a World Cup in the United States, that is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I promise you, Jesse Marsch is not turning that down, okay? He's just not. And if you do well and you make a semifinal in 2026, you still have European clubs that will want you. Okay, so it's not like you leave Europe to coach the US for a few years, then your European career is over. It's not. So no, I think he would take it. Now, is USSF gonna offer it to him? That's the question. Are they going to try and find a company man, which Jesse Marsch is not? Remember, Jesse Marsch was Bob Bradley's assistant. And after they fired Bob Bradley, Jesse Marsch was pretty vocal about criticizing the Federation. So I don't know if the Federation sees him as too much of a wild card, somebody who's not going to play their game and call up Christian Roldan and Kellen Acosta. All right. Should we do as Watke says and send Berhalter to prison? I think we need to, I do think whatever happens, guys, we need to have more expectations for this summer. This is CONCACAF tournaments. Every coach has won CONCACAF tournaments. We need to win. We have the best team we've ever had. So we need to win. And if Berhalter can't win, it's on us. The Federation is going to try to convince you, the PR, and even a lot of crazies on Twitter, I'm talking about the mainstream soccer media, is going to try to convince you the only thing that matters is qualifying for the World Cup. And that's BS. It just is. We need to be a powerhouse. We have to start off by being a powerhouse in our region. And that means winning at least one tournament, at least one trophy we have to come home with, guys. All right. From Charles Crane, where do you think Hoppy will move this summer? Oof. Hoppy. I don't know. I've heard rumors of Tottenham. I've heard rumors here and there. I honestly have no idea. That would be a better question for Filippo. I know he has some connections with people who surround Hoppy, so he might know a little bit more about that than I do. Frank da Nueva. I've been using OneFootball for years. Yes, guys, another quick reminder, link in the description below. OneFootball, go download it. They're a sponsor of the channel for the month of May. And we really appreciate them. And I've used their app. I really like it. I think it's a fantastic app. It's football from all over the world. So yeah, don't forget to download that. Okay. Crazy's on Twitter equals Filippo. All right. Andy McNally. I feel very good after Jamaica's defeat to the USA. It was 11-9 from the get-go, as 2 of the players had not played in a year, and we could have been 2 up in the first few minutes. I'm excited. Yeah, I think Jamaica, and that was Jamaica's B team. I think Jamaica's going to be a lot better than that when they get all their big guys in. Okay. Victor Martinez. What's your favorite sport besides football? Adding to that question, what's another passion that you have beside football? Oh, wow. Oh boy. Sport-wise, I don't watch any other sports, really. I mean, maybe a Super Bowl. Even then, I don't watch it. Like basketball, hockey, football, baseball, none of them really appeal to me that much, to be honest. I can't. I've tried to get into them. I just have no connection. I never played any of those sports, I guess, growing up abroad. So I don't feel any connection to them. So it's hard for me to like watch them. As far as passions go, I'm an actor, so I'm really passionate about acting. I'm passionate about telling stories, making movies, being on stage, doing theater. I'm passionate about anything outdoorsy, like adventure. I do camping a lot. I love hiking. My girlfriend and I hike in the Los Angeles National Forest a fair bit. We love camping. I love long road trips, traveling across the country. I love people. Honestly, what it is. I love meeting people. I love interacting with people. I love community. I think people are awesome. And when people come together, they can do awesome stuff. Pardon me. We have a sponsor now. And yeah, I think that I would say those are my 2 big passions. I also have a passion for flying, like small light sport aircraft. So like an ultralight or an auto gyro, like just 1 or 2 man aircrafts, like really small ones, because I think that's really awesome. The only problem is it's an expensive hobby, so I don't get to do it as much as I would like. But yeah, those are some of my passions. Have you ever come across a cougar? And I don't mean voracious older woman. No, I haven't. Not in the wild. That would be pretty freaky if I did. All right. Couple more questions, guys, and then I am going to sign off here because I have to get to set and do some cool stunts in a police costume, police uniform. Do you want Caden Clark's autograph? I could probably get it if I wanted to. I know him. All right, Colin, I'd love to support you and Filippo. For some reason, I can't do so from where I live. Maybe there's something I don't know. Let me know how I can do so. Anyways, it's 5:40 a.m. Time to hit the gym. Can you not get on Patreon? If you want to support, Patreon is a huge help. I think for Filippo, he has channel memberships. It's just sort of a way to put like a monthly, give us some support monthly. Guys, we will be having merch coming out in June. So after the Nations League, 11 Yanks is launching some merch, some USMNT related merch. So that'd be another way to help support the channel and get cool t-shirts that help you to sport your love for all things U.S. soccer. I don't mean U.S. soccer, the federation. I mean American soccer. Will USMNT beat Mexico this year? I'm going to say yes. I think we have the squad to do it. And if you look at Mexico with no Raul Jimenez in the Nations League, also Tecatito is injured now, guys. I don't know how long he's out for, but there's a chance if they don't have Tecatito and they don't have Raul Jimenez, that front line is not going to be as scary as some people think. So you have Lozano, maybe Henry Martin up top, or maybe Chicharito or JJ Macias. And then on the right wing, maybe either Antuña or Rodolfo Pizarro, but it's not quite the same level as Tecatito, Jimenez, and Lozano up top. So if they don't have that, then I think that's unlikely that they should beat us. Personally, I think we should win it. And I think we will. I'm very confident. I'm confident that despite Berhalter's sometimes tactical ineptitude, we have a player pool where it won't matter as much. Okay. All right. Who wins the World Cup first, USA or Mexico? Dan, USA. I don't think Mexico is going to win the World Cup in the next 50 years. They just, their development systems are too stuck in their ways for them to develop a huge cadre of elite players. Whereas our development systems are like this. They're going up. We're getting better and better and better. And now we've gotten to a point where we're just going to start churning out more and more elite players. So we have a very good chance to win the World Cup in the next 20 years. All right. I would see Chicharito starting for them from Weston Long. Yeah, you know, if he keeps scoring goals, maybe Tata Martino will call him up. All right. Guys, this has been really fun. I'll take one or two more questions. World Cup qualifiers prediction. I think we'll finish. Oh boy. I think we'll finish second. I think we'll finish second in World Cup qualifying. But I hope we finish first. And I think we should go for that. If we don't qualify for the World Cup, should we burn down the whole country? LOL. No, but we should definitely hold U.S. soccer. I mean, dude, if we don't qualify for the World Cup, it's the end. It's a disaster. It's the worst thing for American soccer across the board. Across the board. All right, guys. I am going to take off. This has been awesome. You guys are great. You know, smash the like button if you haven't already, guys. Please do that. Helps other people to find the video. And also, don't forget, download OneFootball if you get a shot. You get a chance. And I will see you guys on Wednesday for the live stream. Remember, first half at Tactical Manager, second half here at 11 Yanks. It's going to be awesome. You guys have a great night, okay?